Welcome to episode 2 of the SuperiHER podcast. This is one of my absolute best friends and birth doula, Ariana Lazo from A Dignified Birth, and I'm so excited to have her with me today. We're going to talk about all things birth, in and outside of the hospital, fears, and her own experience because she is a mom of 4 going on 5. And so thank you for joining us, and we're excited to chat with you guys. Audie, do you have anything to say?
Just excited to be here.
Sweet. All right, let's get going. All right, so I want to ask Audie what are some common fears that she sees moms have going into labor and birth, and some fears that you yourself have experienced and how you coped and worked through them.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest fears, as doulas, Taylor's a doula too, so she knows. But one of the biggest fears that we see is that moms don't really know what's going to be happening to their bodies. So their whole thing is just scary. They don't know why they're feeling the things that they feel. So that's something that we work on as doulas to help them learn, okay, this is what that pain is, or this is what your body needs to do in order to get your baby out, or
these are the hormones it produces so that, your body can properly cope with the intensity of labor, and this is the type of environment that is conducive to your body, having a positive kind of reaction and role in the labor and birth.
I think another big fear is once you do know, trying to make all the right decisions versus learning about what all the options are and just kind of going with the flow with what happens during your labor and delivery, because as much as we plan, we never know how it's really going to turn out. So
I feel like it's tough with just going with your regular obstetrician, your regular OB too, because I don't think they necessarily give you a full, synopsis of what's going on with your body. It's kind of just when this happens, we're going to get you on, this drug, and, we'll get you going on here, and you just let us know, right? Is that kind of your experience?
Well, totally. That's another segment of the show. Hospitals and OBGYNs, it's hard for them to fit all that time to teach you.
And so they are not really going to help in alleviating the fear and kind of, clearing the mist and kind of the fog around what is labor and birth, why do you feel that way? Mm-hmm. And the hospital isn't an environment conducive to being able to alleviate those things unless you have a great provider and they work with you.
They are getting better.
I've definitely been hearing that there are more progressive hospitals with OBs who are more geared towards the natural.
Well, I went to that spinning babies workshop,
right,
and my teacher was actually coming to our city to teach hospitals more about natural birth and how delivery nurses can help the moms that want to have a natural birth. So
which is good for us to hear, and that's why we're going to keep talking about it, because the more that we talk about it, the more we bring awareness to what's going on, the more things can change.
Another fear that we commonly see is knowing or not knowing how our partner is going to react when we do go into labor, and especially during delivery. So that's definitely something that we work on a case-by-case basis, just because sometimes it's the partner's completely confident, and it kind of makes the birther really nervous, because it's well, why are they so confident? And sometimes it's complete opposite. They're going to be super, super anxious, and it's helping them to realize why that is, and, trying to learn to cope with those things and get comfortable around their partner to talk about those things.
Totally. And teaching the partner, that's where a doula comes in to help teach a partner, different comfort measures and, counter pressure and things to say, and just kind of, techniques and skills so that they can instill more confidence in the mom too, and so that they can feel more confident going into the birth, because they just don't most of the time just have absolutely no idea. They can read all the right books and whatnot, but unless they have someone to kind of explain things and give them practical skills and knowledge to use in the labor and birth, empowers the dad as well as empowers the mom too, so that they can better work in a team and whatnot. But yeah, so how was the first birth versus how does it feel going into this birth?
Definitely 100% different. I am so much more confident, and even between 4 and 5, because I wasn't a doula at my fourth birth. I definitely researched a ton, but
there's just so much that you didn't even know you didn't know.
But once we started our journeys as doulas, we just skyrocketed with just our hunger for knowledge. So definitely know a lot more now, and it's not even just knowing more, it's I guess just feeling more comfortable in the space.
Definitely.
So
it's it's trust. You gain. She's right. She's absolutely right. It's not just knowing all the physiologic responses and functions that the body goes through. It's being in absolute awe at the intelligent design of the female body.
Definitely.
And just having this intuitive trust that this is how we were built, was to birth and bring new life into the world. And so gaining the knowledge helps you to establish that connection to the trust in your own body and how we were designed.
That's just something we totally bond on. We're total birth nerds. But yeah, definitely the first one, I didn't know what was going on with my body. I remember kind of just feeling I was just there, watching basically, instead of participating. And especially because I did have an epidural, so then I was numb completely.
Yep.
And if that's for you, then that's for you. That's not what's for me. So.
And that's something that we're going to talk about on this podcast, because I will definitely be very vocal about how I feel about the epidural and how it really does disconnect mom from her power and her intuitive instinct that she has, that it's written in our cells as women how to birth our babies. But when you get the drugs, you disconnect yourself from that ancestral wisdom that is written in your cells, and you can feel like a passenger, not the driver, but the passenger. You literally heard, she said she felt like she was watching it happen, because you're no longer an active participant, and a woman should be in her power. It's not easy to do it naturally, that's for sure. She'll tell you that, but that's where you'll gain the most sense of power and accomplishment and appreciation for your body and what it's capable of. And I think it's important going into motherhood, because you need to feel like a badass.
Yeah,
so that
definitely.
You can parent your kids properly.
With that being said, I do think there is a time, where some women do need an epidural.
Sure.
I definitely would say that even watching, not just experiencing, but watching a natural birth, no drugs, is a completely different experience. And having a natural birth is a completely different experience, but there are times where women, you just need it,
Sure.
You cannot go on. So, or being so scared of the pain, I don't think that's going to help.
Yeah, if there wasn't proper preparation and there's still fear, that can stunt labor. It can stall labor, because your body is not able to produce oxytocin and endorphins, which your body, you have to relax in order to be able to produce those, so that labor can progress efficiently.
It goes into your nervous system.
It's the sympathetic nervous system that you're producing cortisol and adrenaline, which tenses the body up, and you need to be loosey-goosey and relax, so that your body can open to allow baby to come through. And so at that point,
and when you're tense like this, it's gonna hurt.
It's gonna stall. It's gonna hurt, and it's gonna draw it out much longer than it needs to be. And then comes the exhaustion. And so what she's saying is sometimes the epidural can help alleviate the exhaustion and allow mom to relax so that she can open and so that baby can be had. So there are cases, and we both know that. I have my opinion, but it's also like proper preparation, and a lot of parents just don't properly prepare, and so in order to just like birth your baby, period, and if you want to do it vaginally as well.
And I think that goes back to like our topic again of fears is the cascade of interventions. I don't know if you have heard about that, but
something we'll definitely have an entire episode for just by itself.
Yeah, but I mean, basically, it's where you start something at the hospital like Pitocin
or Cytotec.
Yeah, like just something to get labor started. It's gonna lead to another intervention.
It's a snowball effect.
Exactly. So, and that's just a fear, you know, like you don't want to start something and have all of these things follow after it.
Yeah, that can be tough being like someone who wants to birth your baby naturally and then knowingly going into the hospital system and then being scared again for like the opposite reason, not being scared that your body can't birth your baby properly, but being scared that, you know, your birth will be intervened with so much that nothing you wanted to happen happened. And then you're traumatized and you feel like you failed, and so there's a fine line.
And then when you feel like that, if you do decide to have another baby, you have all of these fears going into it. So any kind of trauma. Yeah.
And that's stuff that needs to be worked through before going into the labor and birth of your baby so that you can go in with the confidence and relaxation necessary to have the normal physiologic response that your body's supposed to have.
Yes.
So
definitely. I know all about that one.
Yeah. But we are so excited to see that parents are informing themselves and taking their power into their own hands by, you know, giving themselves the information needed to go in with confidence and to give their baby the most, you know, incredible advantage from the start as they possibly can. Yeah.
It is exciting. We're excited. And coping with our next fear is also educating yourself as a partner, as a spouse. It's really frustrating for me sometimes because I'm like trying to tell my husband like, learn about this, and he's like, I'm learning on my own, like I'm not there yet, you know. Or maybe they're not even interested, you know. So I mean, what were we talking about in the car? Like another fear with a partner is that they're not gonna, like, if you have a doula, that they're not gonna have that space, you know, in the birth room, that the doula, or maybe even if you have like a midwife that is able to stay with you the entire time, that they're not gonna or take over their space, you know.
Like they're scared that their role as the partner will no longer be needed because mom already has someone to do the comfort measures and provide the, you know, emotional support and whatnot.
Yes.
But it's not true.
So that is like how we cope with like that fear, honestly, is one, knowing that is not true. That is not the case. Like, we did not make our babies with those people.
Nope.
You know, they're not the people that are going to produce this oxytocin with us when you're going through all of these motions. They are not the one that is going to be just like, I mean, yeah, they're happy when your baby's born, but it's different when it's your baby, you know, that is just coming into the world. So that is like the first and foremost.
Dude, literally, if I could emphasize, and I don't think I can emphasize enough, like how it's just natural. There is a kindred bond and a soul connection that is unique to mom and dad because they came together and created a new life together and are bringing it into the world as one, honestly.
Yeah, no one's gonna take that space.
There's literally no one else who could, like, even if he doesn't know shit, honestly, about, you know, birth or whatever, I've seen dads just be connected to mom and just be so ever present And even, like, I've watched you, you know, I was the birth photographer and she was the doula. Like, I've literally watched her, you know, be so hands-on and so active the whole birth. But the connection that mom had with dad was just so, oh my gosh, there's nothing like it. And there's just, when you see it, there's just no one who can take that place, no matter how hands-on or useful they are during the birth. Like, it's just, no one could ever take dad's place.
And then our last one that I guess we wanted to talk about was getting over our fear of the epidural.
Let's talk about pain management and coping with the intensity of labor and kind of like your other options that aren't just the epidural. So what are our options?
Pain management options. So there are actually quite a few, which was crazy to learn for me because I always thought it was just the epidural.
Pain management options are like gas, hydrotherapy, so getting either in like the shower or the tub. Your epidermis, your skin, is the largest organ on your body, and so you can kind of like overload your nerve endings and distract your body from the intensity of labor by stimulating the largest organ of your body through sitting in, you know, a hot tub or the shower. It helps.
It helps so much. And for so many women, it does.
I've heard people, you know, women call it, you know, like a natural epidural, nature's epidural pretty much. There's also a TENS unit, which, you know, sends electric currents into the body and distracts the body from the pain. You can also do counter pressure. There are a ton of ways that we'll go into in other episodes, but Audie has to get going. And so thank you so much for joining us for episode number 2 of the SuperiHER podcast. We are definitely going to have Audie back, and we're going to talk about all things birth industry, birth center versus, you know, the hospital, home birth, all these different things. And so super excited to have you here. Audie, do you have any closing words?
No, just thank you for having me here. I'm excited to come back.
I'm so excited to have her back. We've been meaning to do this for a long time. So you're going to hear more from us. All right. Peace out, everybody. See you next time. Subscribe, like, comment, and follow. All right. Have a nice day, guys. Bye-bye.